Summary: Fraser has struggled with managing his crew's emotions and conflicts, showing a lack of accountability in addressing issues head-on. Fraser's tough treatment of Stu Barbie has painted him as more of a villain, making it difficult for the crew to approach him with problems. Fraser's micromanagement and defiance of Captain Carey's wishes have caused tension within the crew, leading to feelings of resentment and frustration. Below Deck Season 11 has brought Chief Stu Fraser Olender's character into question, making viewers wonder if he's actually a villain or if he's simply being painted as one. Throughout Fraser's time in the Below Deck franchise, he's worked hard to become a valuable member of any team he's part of. Fraser's commitment to his work has been shown on both Below Deck Mediterranean with Captain Sandy Yawn, as well as the original Below Deck, first with Captain Lee Rosbeck, and now with Captain Carey Titherage. Fraser has worked his way up to becoming a Chief Stew, proving that he knows what he's doing in his day-to-day aboard a superyacht, and he feels comfortable delegating tasks to the stews who work beneath him. Though Fraser is good at what he does, there are some issues that have come up for the stew in the past, especially when it comes to his management style. During Below Deck Season 10, two of Fraser's stews had some major issues with one another. Camille Lamb, who was working as a deckhand, stew and helping out any part of the team that needed it, struggled to take orders from her colleagues, and fellow stew Alyssa Humber took that seriously. While the tension between Camille and Alyssa had been heating up, Fraser struggled to manage the stew's emotions without getting involved himself. When the pair wound up fighting in front of Captain Sandy and a group of charter guests, Fraser didn't take accountability for not handling the issue himself. Instead, he tried to smooth things over and undermined Captain Sandy in front of Camille, making it appear like he had the upper hand when he didn't. Fraser's attitude didn't work for the captain, who made it clear that she was in charge aboard the Saint. David at the time. While Fraser had to deal with some serious attitude, it appears he may not have learned from his mistakes. Throughout Below Deck Season 11, Fraser's issues with managing crew members have become more apparent with each passing charter. Though he swore he wasn't looking for a repeat of the issues he dealt with on Below Deck Season 10, Fraser has created an environment for his stews where it's clear that he has a hierarchy, which makes him difficult to talk to as their manager. While Fraser has tried to draw a line regarding what he shares with his employees and what he keeps private, he's also been tough to talk to about issues that come up throughout the charter. Fraser's treatment of Barbie Pasquale, who has been struggling through the charter and working hard to ensure that the guests and the crew are all taken care of respectively, has made it clear that he's more of a villain than most expected. While Fraser tried to protect Cat Ba throughout her time on Below Deck Season 11, he's been tough enough on Barbie to make an impression. Related 20 Best Reality TV Shows. Right now reality TV is more popular than ever. With so many to choose from, here are some of the best reality TV shows to stream or watch right now. 10. Fraser's been difficult to work with this season. He wants things to be perfect throughout the run of Below Deck Season 11. Fraser has been particularly difficult to work with. He made it clear early on that he didn't want a repeat for himself of Below Deck Season 10, where things spiraled out of his control in a spectacular way. Fraser struggled to keep his staff in order during Season 10, and when Camille and Alyssa both left the Saint. David in quick succession, he was left to pick up the pieces of his team. Though Fraser has done well to build a team of stews that is competent and listens to him, he's still struggling through the issues he faced last season, haunting him at times. Fraser's memory of Below Deck Season 10 has pushed him to want things to be more perfect, more pristine, and less emotionally damaging than before. Though he's right to have difficult memories of the last charter season, Fraser is now being too tough on his stews. 9. Fraser's been hard on Barbie Pasquale. He's taking his work issues personally close. While Fraser has been working hard to ensure Below Deck Season 11 is nothing like Below Deck Season 10, he's taken the majority of his stress out on Barbie. The new stew has struggled through the charter season with Fraser, who has been taking issue with her at every turn. While he hasn't been able to say anything negative about her work ethic since very early in the season, Fraser has been looking for any reason he can to get rid of Barbie, consistently citing her attitude as the root of his issues with her. Barbie, who typically is very straightforward about the way she feels, hasn't done much outside of work during her time aboard the Saint. David, though she's clearly very good at her job, Barbie doesn't pull her punches when it comes to conversations with Fraser, or anyone, aboard the Saint. David, she's clear that Fraser isn't a fan of hers, so she doesn't bother to treat him like is. 8. Fraser's protected Cat Bo's poor performance. He wanted to get rid of Barbie close. While Fraser has been tough on Barbie, he spent the earliest days of the charter season working hard to protect one of her fellow stews from any issues she might be faced. Fraser struggled with the way that Cat was being treated aboard the Saint. David, and while Barbie hadn't exactly been kind about the new stew, she hadn't been harsh, either. Cat and Barbie butted heads early on, as Cat felt she was experienced enough to take on a super yacht when it was clear that she wasn't. Cat was easily overwhelmed, highly emotional, and struggled when she wasn't in control of a situation. Unfortunately, a lot of what Cat dealt with on the Saint David was her being unable to control things, and work that kept her struggling when she didn't know how to handle it. When Cat got a call from a friend back home that made it feel like she needed to leave the ship, she took advantage of it and left the Saint. David, Fraser tried to help Cat at every turn, prioritizing her over Barbie for what seemed like spiteful reasons. 7. Fraser isn't working to help the interior team. He's giving orders without jumping in close after Cat's departure from the Saint. David, the crew had to get to work. With a missing member, the interior crew needed help to get the Saint. David ready for its next charter and keep it stocked throughout the time they were away from the dock. Barbie and her fellow stew Zandy Olivier, who Fraser promoted to second stew within the first week of the charter season, were doing more than they could handle. Though Fraser appeared busy every time he was on camera, the Below Deck Season 11 start didn't appear to be helping out with any of the excess work that the interior team had due to Cat's departure. Rather than helping his girls, Fraser decided to prioritize his own work, and even his own relaxation in moments. Fraser hasn't appeared to be as busy as his stews, nor does he seem to have much going on outside of reprimanding them for making mistakes. 6. Fraser's two-faced. When he's annoyed, he's taking behind his colleagues' backs, close with Fraser, working hard to ensure that he's not getting involved in the drama or fostering arguments between his stews. His attitude has unfortunately pushed him in another direction entirely. Fraser, who has made it clear that he's not interested in dealing with Barbie, has openly begun to favor Xandi during his time on Below Deck Season 11. While it may not be clear to the rest of the exterior team and the crew at large, Fraser and Xandi have spent time together on nights out and off the superyacht, which is fine, but his clear friendship with the stew has made it tough not to feel for Barbie. Fraser has gotten to a point where he talks behind his employees' backs, making comments about Barbie to her colleagues when she isn't there to defend herself. Rather than acting like he's there to supervise, Fraser is acting like a disgruntled manager who doesn't actually care about what happens to his employees. 5. Fraser's become a micromanager. He wants to do things his way. Close. Despite not seeming to have work of his own on Below Deck Season 11, Fraser has been able to find new ways to comment on the work that the interior crew does. Rather than trusting Xandi and Barbie, who have never given him anything but the sense that they know what they're doing, to do their jobs, Fraser has begun to micromanage in ways that are damaging his relationships with the rest of the crew. In wanting everything to be done his way, Fraser has made himself nearly impossible to work with and has forced others to struggle just to follow his orders. Throughout the charter season, Fraser has developed some micromanaging habits, inserting himself into situations where he isn't needed and instructing people on how to do things it's likely they already handle. While he's complained about others micromanaging in the first place, Fraser has been able to take on the role of a micromanager seamlessly. 4. Fraser's going against Captain Carey's wishes. He's trying to take charge close while Fraser reports to the captain of the Saint. David, he's taken opportunities to undermine Captain Carey when possible, even if they're not necessarily pre-planned. Though Fraser has been irritated at the way Captain Sandy has reacted to his attitude in the past, he's been able to move on and decompress from dealing with the at times difficult captain. Fraser and Captain Carey's relationship hasn't necessarily been more difficult, but there have been moments where Fraser has directly disobeyed Captain Carey's wishes, which isn't something necessarily forgivable in the situation they've been in. Fraser has made it clear that he wanted Kat to stick around on the St. David, and even after she chose to leave, Fraser wanted someone to replace her that he would be able to mold. Rather than agreeing with Captain Carey that Kat's issues were somewhat too big to fit into the picture of the crew as a whole, Fraser wanted her to stick around and even stuck his neck out for her on occasion. 3. Fraser's been complaining about Chef Anthony. He's not doing anything to help out Below Deck Season 11's chef, Anthony Irricane, has been having a difficult time throughout the charter season, but Fraser isn't making it any easier on the chef. Complaining frequently about the disorganization of the galley and the mess that Anthony has struggled to clean up, Fraser has made his stance clear on the chef. Though Fraser has his points about the chef's lack of organization and the way that can throw the rest of his crew off, Chef Anthony has been open about his struggles to the point that Fraser should be complaining about some organizational issues. During one of the most recent services, Fraser watched as Barbie confused Chef Anthony, struggling with the menu that needed several different substitutions to make it palatable for the charter guests. Rather than jumping in to help in any way, Fraser allowed Barbie to confuse the chef, which caused the chef to make the wrong combinations of meals for the hungry, irritated charter guests. 2. Fraser's issues with Anthony are mundane. He's taking his work grievances too seriously. Close. Though it may be understandable to some, Fraser's issues with Anthony appear to be far more mundane than the problems he's brought up with others in the past. Anthony having a disorganized galley is a solvable issue, and the fact that he hasn't acknowledged it as such is difficult to watch. Knowing that Chef Anthony has a learning disability, which makes him more prone to being disorganized, makes Fraser look like he's not really paying attention to what's going on outside of his own actions on the Saint. David. Fraser has struggled to find real issues with Anthony, as well as with Barbie, after swearing that they're making his life at work more difficult. Though Chef Anthony's disorganization is likely irritating for Fraser, it isn't a proper grievance in the same way that Barbie getting on his nerves isn't. Fraser has brought his personal issues into the crew of the St. David, taking things more personally than professionally. Fraser feels he's immune to mistakes. He's holding everyone to too high a standard close. Although it's clear that Fraser, like everyone else on Below Deck Season 11, isn't perfect, it's also clear that he struggles to believe he could be making errors in judgment or any issues of his own in general. Though Fraser acknowledges he's not perfect on social media frequently, it appears that he thinks he has done very little wrong throughout the charter season thus far. His moral superiority is obvious when he speaks to Barbie, whom he often talks down to. Though Fraser hasn't explained that he feels superior to the rest of the St. David's crew, and likely wouldn't, it's clear in his actions that he believes he could be doing things better than someday. Fraser's issues in assuring his crew that they're being heard, as well as the fact that he consistently defies the captain's orders as they move through the charter season, have been tough for Below Deck viewers to wrap their heads around. Below Deck airs Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time on Bravo, then streams the following day on Peacock. Below Deck is a reality television series and franchise that has seen many spin-offs since its creation in 2013. The original series follows the lives of a crew that lives on a superyacht called Honor and chronicles their experiences during charter season.